I don't
Kane, it's 1-0. We're fucking down. 13th in the championship. The takeover happened as I said it would. People will be. Oh, when have we got Leeds? Now then, people, welcome back to the Just Joe Football Show. I hope you are all doing well on this lovely Thursday evening. Please do smash a like on the video, subscribe to the channel, of course, get your comments in, and of course, hit that notification bell. Make sure you check out JUSTJOE as well over at Leeds United, The View, and we have the man's back. It feels like an age since I've had you here, Andrea. How are you doing, brother?
Yeah, better. The healing process is a little bit slow, but yeah, in terms of morale, you know, I'm better. Yeah,
Good.
in that regard, you know. Thanks for asking, and thanks also for the messages I received during the week. Yeah, very much appreciated.
No worries, bro. It's all good. JUSTJOE, how are you, mama?
I'm good. Just look at the chat there, and Danny said Russo is back. And he is.
Yeah. Love that.
I'm good. Yeah, I'm good. Busy day today. Very busy with work, but also videos this morning. Trying to get a match preview video just a few minutes ago with stats as well. Got that. Managed to get it done now tonight. So yeah, good. All good.
Yeah, I feel it, mate. I'm tired as well, to be honest. So I will probably yawn throughout this video, folks, because I haven't had my nap today. All right, so just so you're aware, I may well nap. Now
You're excused. Don't worry.
I just want to mention the graphics in the bottom corners here as well, folks. As you can see, Cool Media, I've spoken to you about Cool Media before. They are a Leeds United. It's owned and run by Leeds United fans. Cool Media marketing advertising agency, helping businesses get found, seen and chosen online. So if you have a business and you want to generate more inquiries, more leads, you can check them out. The links are in the description to do that, along with mobile and email address for the owner of Cool Media, and they can offer free and partial advice for businesses that are already using a paid method through Google and Facebook, etc. And the latest one, it's like a bus, right? None come and then two come at once. We've got Fantasy 5, folks, right? Now, Fantasy 5, basically, I'm going to share the screen with you. I want JUSTJOE, I want Andrea to get involved as well. The link to this is in the description. It's a free-to-play game, okay? It's free-to-play. There's the opportunity to win £10,000, right? How it works, basically, the link's in the description. I'll share the screen with you now. Basically, what will happen is when you've created an account, they pick 5 games, all right? Of them 5 games, each player has a predicted fantasy points tally, okay? You then want to pick a player that you believe will get higher than their predicted points tally. So, for example, they predict Haaland will get 9.5. I think he will get more than that because I'm expecting a hat-trick against Bournemouth, so I've selected Haaland in that fixture. For Everton versus Brighton, I went for Matoma. Arsenal, Newcastle, Saka. Aston Villa, Forest, Watkins. And then I've gone for Darwin Núñez against Luton. So it all depends on who you want to pick, right, folks? It is totally free to play. They have chosen to sponsor the channel. We'll discuss it more on the watch along. But listen, folks, if fantasy is your thing, which I know a lot of you are, please do check it out. It is free to play. And even if you're not going to play it, just click the link and create an account for me, because what it means is the company will continue to sponsor the Just Joe Football Show. All right? So please do that for me, okay? So yeah, totally free to play, £10,000 jackpot. If you're going to a leaderboard, there is all sorts. We'll go into it in more detail tomorrow, but just check them out. Fantasy 5 as well as Cool Media. Right, okay, that's that out of the way. Let's talk about Leicester City. JUSTJOE, I'll come to you first. I genuinely don't know how to feel about this game. I go into every game of football thinking Leeds United are going to win. This season anyway. This one, I don't know. I don't know if that's nerves. I don't know if that's because secretly deep down in the pit of my stomach, I think we're going to get beat. I just don't know. Where's your head at with it, mate? You've just done your preview. What are you thinking?
I'm sitting on the fence, but I think a point away would be a good result because it keeps them exactly where they are with us. There's no point in beating around the bush. It's a very, very, very good Leicester City side. You don't set record pace in this division, in a tricky division like this, after being relegated, unless you've got a team stacked. And they've got a stacked team. They've got some really, really good players. So I think, for me, this game is going to be about the midfield. And I set up my own one. I think it's going to be a case of Dewsbury Hall and Winks versus Ampadu and Kamara, and then deciding what will Leeds decide to go with a third man in the middle of the park to try and counter the 4-3-3 that they likely to play, or the 4-5-1 out of possession, 4-3-3 in possession kind of thing that they do. So I think, will Leeds learn lessons from Southampton and go, yeah, the midfield was over against a really good midfield, we didn't deal with it. So will he change that? In the same time, my brain's in, Fark is not going to change the team that started the game last week, because I think it's pretty much starting to pick itself. And a strong start from the total squad that we had. We looking at, well, you couldn't pick a team, but now I think you've seen a settled lineup. So I think it's going to be a cracking game. I think, from listening to Maresca's press conference, a couple of things he said. I think he expects Leeds to try and counter-attack. I think he said that he needs to be worried about Leeds on the transition.
So many Leicester fans keep saying you're going to play on the counter, and I'm like, well, no, we don't tend not to.
We're a possession-based side, so yeah, but we just happen to be very quick if we can transition.
If we win the ball,
yeah. So I think Maresca's expecting Leeds to sit a bit, and he, from his press conference again, is looking to dominate the ball. I don't think they'll dominate the ball. I think it could be a scrappy enough first couple of minutes to find out who gets a hold of it. But I think whoever wins the midfield battle wins the game. I think that's the big area for me. Both defenses can be caught with pace, both sides. So there's goals in our attack. You look at what they've got: Vestergaard and Cody. They're not the fastest centre backs in the world, so you can get in around the back of them with Leeds' pace. They will commit bodies forward, so you can get in behind them. But Leeds will do the exact same thing. Like, Leeds have struggled with Vardy in the past. As Stats has said on my video, it's a good job Harvey Barnes isn't there anymore, because he won't score against us.
Definitely.
But they've got so much talent, the same as we have. Look at players they had on the bench last weekend. Like Patterson Daka sitting on the bench. Like he's a really good player, and he's sitting there gathering dust.
Do you think they've got the best squad, Joe, in the league?
I think the two squads are very similar. Are very evenly balanced.
I concede, and I think Leicester's is probably better than ours.
I think they're more settled than we are, Joe. I think that's the biggest thing. These players have been together longer. A lot of them have been together a lot longer. Yeah. They came down. They didn't have to deal with the stuff that we had to deal with in the summer. So they've had a more settled period, and they've got a good attacking manager as well. So it suits the style of play they like to play. So I just think, for me, we have to start this game fast the way we started against Huddersfield. It's the best we've been. We are a good team and we play at pace and with high tempo. We are a second-rate team when we slow it down and try and play keep ball. I don't think we're that. I mean, look at Huddersfield second half. Look at Norwich. Look at Stoke City. Games where we were slow and we got caught. So for me, has to be a fast start. Leeds have got to be on the front foot. They can't treat us like an away game. They've got to get at them. They've got to get at Leicester.
I agree.
And that may leave us open a little bit. But I think I'm the same as you. I think it's a tough one to call. It's a really tough one to call. I think it'll be a 2-2 draw. Personally, I think we'll score, and I think they'll score, being honest.
Yeah. I mean, I went for a bold 3-1 earlier. I don't know where that came from.
Could be though. It could easily be a mental score. You could have 4-0 win out of nowhere.
And it could be the other way, couldn't it, as well? They could spank us 3-4s, and you know what I mean. So it's mad. Andrea, I think Joe's hit so many nails on the head there. But what are your thoughts on it?
Yeah, Joe made it very easy for me, because I agree with everything that he just said. Basically, I'm honest. I'm always often the more pessimistic one, when we do this kind of predictions. But you know what? I feel optimistic about tomorrow. Honestly, I don't know why, but I think especially after Huddersfield, we have more certainties, and we know after the game at Southampton, for example, and the other games, that how we don't have to play and what to expect exactly when team press us. So I think if tomorrow we start and to take the game to them, and play with us out of football, I think it can be very open. And I think there's the gap in the table, of course, is there, but on paper the two squads are very similar, like George said. So it's not the league leaders versus a playoff team. I don't think there's much gap. They have been consistent and clinical. We haven't been. consistent and clinical in certain games, and that's the main difference for me. And like just said, for example, they didn't have to deal with those kind of transfer madness in August. They were very clear. They capitalized and were very smart in dealing with the situation of Maddison and Barnes. They invested well. Doyle, Cody, players, promising players, and also veterans. Cody, Winks, of course. He hasn't been playing well in the Premier League, but he had a good season in Italy overall. Looking at the state of Sampdoria, so it's very open. The battle will be in midfield, yeah, absolutely, because they play with three players, and we usually have two with Rotor dropping down. So it'd be crucial that Rotor moves around a lot and helps back into defense, because they have, of course, the playmaker, usually Winks, and the other two players around him. Going forward, but also coming back. So it'd be a box-to-box game in midfield, and I like those kind of situations, But you know what? I'm optimistic, honestly, because I think we have the tools to beat them. It's a very open game. It can be easily a 3-1 victory for them, but also for us. So there are two similar teams. I think they are more ball possession. We have more verticality in certain occasions, and we are faster in the transition. So I agree on that. What Maresca said, but he also said that they would like to do a quick ball possession system to try to attack us. We need to press them and stop them from doing that exactly, because in midfield they have these Briol Winks, and Casadei probably. We need to attack Winks because Casadei.
Do you think that we're good enough in the press?
We can be, I think, but I think there's only one player who cannot do that. If he plays in the 10, it's Spiro. He cannot do the press if he plays in that position.
Yeah.
So
I don't think we do it anyway outside. But we did a kind of a half press against Norwich. Against Huddersfield in the first half, where we kind of ran at them but stopped and then tried to force mistakes, which is a good tactic. I like that tactic. It's not overly committing, but it's putting enough pressure that they kick the ball away or they try and force an error. And I like that. It's very Bielsa-esque in a sense, where it's about cause mistakes, But to your point, Andrea, as well, the two key things for me is if we give away a one-on-one run like we have done a couple of times this year, they will score. Where we've gotten away with it a few times, they won't mace them. And if we don't take our chances when we get them, again, to Andrea's point, we haven't been clinical this year. We've scored goals. That doesn't mean we've been clinical. You look at them at the big chances that Somerville and Rutter have created between the two of them, and how many of them have actually been converted. It's very small. So we've got to be on it. This has got to be when it clicks. If it doesn't click here, we could be in trouble. But I'm feeling a bit more confident about us after the first half against Huddersfield. I'm taking the knowledge that the second half was resting players. That's fine. Okay. Yeah. Well, now we know what it takes to be good, to be really good in this division, be really clicking. It's got to be the first half performance. And again, that wasn't against a very good side. Yeah, sorry, Leeds House have said there, Bergzorg. Those chances that he got in Huddersfield, Vardy will take them. Vardy will take them.
Good player,
we can't give him up. Yeah, I liked him actually. I thought he was quite good.
Yeah, good player, honestly. Oh yeah, but the main difference is there. They've been clinical. They've played bad games. For example, like QPR, they were not at their best, but they were clinical and took their chances. So and everything went in their way this season. Honestly, also in games where they were not the better team, but fair play to them, because that's how you win. You win the league. Being clinical and having the mentality to go till the last minute.
I put a video. I put a video out earlier in the week. I think it might have been Monday or Tuesday. I don't know if you caught it, but basically it was posing the question, like, is this a must-win? Is this, for me? And I went into it a little bit and had a look at how many. My main concern is, lads, going into this game. I know there's a few in the chat have been mentioning it, so I'll just bring it up. Like, if we lose, I expect Ipswich to beat Birmingham, right? Birmingham have lost 3 on the spin under Rooney. It's not going well there at all. Fans don't want him already. I think that's just destined to fail. I think Ipswich beat them. That then puts Ipswich on 12 with a game in hand, and that's against Rotherham. If they win that game in hand, that's 15 points to second. It'd be 17 points to Leicester if we lose. Yeah. So it feels such a big game for me. And I know these people are saying to me, there's 90-odd points, you're mad. But such a big gap. How are your heads going into it if we were to get beat?
I still think it's a long season. I'm not, and I'm not. I honestly believe I don't see Leicester having a massive hiccup. My only hope with Leicester is, and I've said this before, they've got four players going out.
They'll only lose individual games, Joe. They're not going to lose 3 on the spin, are they?
No, well, again, January is where I'm looking at it, because I think from Leeds' perspective and Leicester's perspective, I think Premier League clubs will be sniffing around some players in January. So we will be the 2 teams that they will look to get the better. Now whether Leeds, I can't see Leicester selling and I can't see Leeds selling. So that's the first thing, unless players want to force moves. I can't see that happening. But at the same time, they have 4 players going on to international duty at the African Cup of Nations. They're going to miss 10 matches. That's a lot of games. So, that's a huge amount of games. That's 30 points, So all of a sudden you could pull that back rapidly. That's assuming they lose them. They've got strength and depth as well. I mean, if they do lose some players, they've got other players that can come in. A lot of the international players they've got aren't in the starting lineup anyway at the moment, but that still weakens their squad overall and what they can do from the bench. If you look at Leicester this year, and Andrea's already kind of touched on it, when they haven't been winning games and they haven't been doing well, their fitness and their determination has won them games in the last 10 minutes. They've scored a lot of injury time goals this year as well. So they keep on going all the way past the 90 minutes till the final whistle. They're very, very fit. And we saw the benefit of that when we had Bielsa, how we could just outrun teams. And if you were losing 1-0 or 2-0 coming into the last 10 minutes, there was still hope that you'll win the game because teams will get tired. You'll keep going. Ipswich on the other side, to me, I think they will have a wobble. And I think they will lose games because I don't think they're as good as second place. I think they've, over the last couple of weeks specifically, they've looked a little bit shaky. They've won the games, but they're conceding goals. They're conceding a lot of goals. So if their goals dry up, and if somebody does come after their players, I quite like Hurst, the plays for them up front. I think he's a decent striker. But I think clubs will come in looking for their players as well. And they could lose a couple, and then they could be in big trouble. But going back to, and this is a big one for us, how many times when we were in the Championship before we went to the Premier League were we 2nd, 3rd, 4th, thought we were going to get up, and then Christmas happened and we just... Now, that's not just happened to us. Teams have been 2nd before and then haven't won a game for like 2 months after Christmas, and all of a sudden you've got a huge amount of games at Christmas. Squads will be important. Depth will be important. I don't think Ipswich have that depth. So for me, I don't think we catch Leicester, but I do think even with a 12-point gap, I do think Ipswich will be catchable.
Yeah.
Andrea, thoughts?
Yeah, absolutely. I recently this week, I have a lot of time at home to spend, so I post the same question,
Okay.
and try to use the predictor. There's a predictor online for the league, so I try to see the fixtures and try to predict them. I think there's plenty of hard and difficult games ahead for us, Leicester and Ipswich, and I think Ipswich will have a drop probably in the new year, especially. But also there's difficult games for Leicester away. It's a very long league still, a tough league. Probably the gap with Leicester is too big, but Ipswich, they've been performing well. But especially the team below them might strengthen the January transfer window too. So I think the values come on top at the end. In the end, so I think we need to keep the pressure like Sheffield United did with us in the first year under Bielsa, and I think the second place, but even the first, I think it's still open. Jer mentioned that there were teams going winless for 2 months, and that happened, in the past in the Championship, but it can happen still to this day, in this season. So. Honestly, it's very long. It's still very long. Anything can happen. We can go on a 10 win streak, and true. Other teams can go in a 5 losses streak, But yeah, the only word that we need is consistency, because we had we dropped points in certain games that were winnable at the start of the season. We had a difficult month of August. We steered the ship in September. We had ups and downs in October. Now in November, we need to be consistent and don't go in towards the end of the year, because we need to keep the pressure piling up, and Ipswich eventually will drop some points, and we need to be there ready to put the pressure with -6 points, -3 points, because they will drop points. It's very long.
Great point by Anto Gartland. You can see it very quickly. If we beat Ipswich, which we already have, and if Leicester beat them, 6 points gone. There's 6 points off the total straight away, and 3 points for us to close that gap. So
but then we have to keep winning though, and that's the thing. I'm not confident.
Yeah, we do. We're a bit
I mean?
streaky though. If you look at our games, again, ignore August because it was mental. Ignore August. But if you look, and again, Farkas said judges from August, after August, so that closed. Look at Leeds. Between the last international break, win, loss, 3 wins. This one, win, loss, win. Hopefully we can get a couple more wins for the next break. So we are streaky. We have got streaks. We need to knock these crappy performances against lesser teams out of it. That needs to stop. Daniel Farkas' pragmatism is well placed against certain teams, but is annoying against other teams. Like against smaller teams, we were not ruthless except Huddersfield. And then even there, I know we had this game against Leicester coming up, but you could have really put a marker down against them in the second half and absolutely destroyed them and then gone.
We need
now.
to, though.
No, we didn't need to, but that kind of breeds. That breeds a winning mentality, not just a winning mentality, but a ruthless mentality of going, we're going to be ruthless. We're going to be ruthless. And I mean, I've said it to teams, if you're losing a game, like say Huddersfield, for example, you're losing the game pretty heavily. All the manager's going to say to them at halftime is win the second half. Go out and win the second half. And they did. Leeds lost that second half. They don't get any points for it, but there's still a point of going when we didn't do anything in the second half. They scored. We conceded. We're conceding goals. Leicester are not. They're not a huge amount of goals, but we're conceding goals. That needs to stop because we're conceding goals against poor sides. Conceded goals against Norwich. Conceded goals against Stoke. We shouldn't be conceding goals against these teams. Conceded a goal against Huddersfield. That has to stop. I also think, based on Huddersfield, I think we're at the point where we need to stop bringing Cooper and Ayling into the team at any point because
I agree.
And I agree. I think Adam Pope said it, and I am on Don't Go to Bed Just Yet, and he said it about could be Adam Pope, could be Johnny Buchan, but he said basically we move people around to accommodate them. So Strauch goes from being very solid at left centre back to being very shaky at right centre back. Cooper goes in at left centre back and is very shaky there, and Bill hasn't got the pace anymore. So we need to move past that. We can't be bringing them on to try and see out the game because what happens is we get shakier when they come on the park, not better. So there's little things that Farkas needs to tidy up in the group, but for me, we need to make sure that we don't throw away stupid goals to lesser teams and we get more ruthless. And then we do play these lesser teams that we just go out and smash them and get on with because this team is good enough to smash teams. They've proven it. There's enough attacking talent. But sometimes I think Farkas just puts the reins on and pulls them back a little bit. And I'm like, sometimes I just want to let them go. Just let them get at this team and see what they have. And I just don't want them. If he was very pragmatic against Southampton in the first half. I don't want to see that because I think the game will be done by half time if that happens.
We cannot start slow. We cannot.
No, we need to bring the game to them.
Absolutely. 100%.
Absolutely. But my concern is that, and someone mentioned it in the chat, is that, and Joe said it too, we do oriented pressing, and I love that, honestly, when we do oriented pressing because we are not too unbalanced. You keep your shape when you do oriented pressing and you don't go with the high pressing, the gegen pressing, But sometimes in certain games, like at Southampton, we don't press at all. And that's my worry. Hopefully, we did a bit of pressing tomorrow because if we leave the ball possession to them, it suits them. It's the ideal situation for them, especially in the ball possession system and with 3 midfielders in the middle. They will crowd Ampadu and Kamara if we allow them to do that. But another point for me is that we were talking about Cooper and Ayling, if we look at our starting 11, our ideal one, there's not much experience there, apart from Rodan and Strauch in the Premier League. But if you look at them, they have Westergaard, Cody, these other experienced players. They have tons of games in the Premier League with
even like Jamie Vardy up there. You've got
Vardy. Wings played in a Champions League final. They have Justin Weld in England Cup 2 years ago. So
Wings is an England international, a former England international as well. He has been capped by England, so that's quality, and they have it.
So is Bamford.
So
let's not forget that.
Yeah, the veterans. The veterans made an impact. They can make an impact. Our veterans are substitutes right now. That's also the difference.
For sure. Colin says we shouldn't fear them. I don't know if fear is the right word, but
caution.
It's their motto.
They have all had luck so far. This is the thing as well, Colin. Not that I disagree, but that's what everyone keeps saying to me. Oh, they've just been lucky, and I'm like,
no.
I don't know if after 14 games we can say they've all been lucky if they're still top and have so many points. Time for a break in the tempo. We do need to do that, and they start questioning themselves. the thing is for me, and I think Joe and Andrea touched on it, when you've got players like Jamie Vardy who've been in a title race in the Premier League, I don't think they question it. I think they've got enough heads within that squad that'll go, listen, it's fine. Dust yourself off. But he says Leeds 3-1, which is what I'd said earlier on another stream. So, he said they aren't playing amazing. They're getting jammy results. Yeah, I mean, this is the thing, though. Like, I listened to the second tier, and no, it was not the top 20, actually. And they said, like, they can put in a 5 out of 10 performance against QPR, and they still win. And the thing is, with Leeds at the minute, when we put in them performances, we don't win. Stoke's the perfect example of that. So
if you look at this, Joe, just
any examples, unfortunately, that's the problem so far. That's been the problem so far.
Just to shout out a couple of things, because this is to that point of they'll have a wobble. And just to throw a couple of results at you, not the results, but the goals. Casey McAteer scored against Norwich in the 87th minute. Then you go, what to lose me?
I wish eligible, Joe McAteer.
But he came back last week off the bench as well. Then you get Bristol City with 6-7. Then you go to Blackburn Rovers and they score 2 goals, one in the 82nd and one in the 88th minute. Yeah, you got that. Then you go to Preston and they have a goal in the 76th and 90th minute. Then you go to the game against Stoke, 2 goals against Stoke. One of them was in the 79th minute. Then you go after Stoke, you go to Swansea. They beat them by 3, but they scored a goal in the 87th.
Also Coventry in the first game of the season.
That's by design, isn't it? They're tiring. They're tiring the opposition out.
If you're dominating possession, you're tiring out the opposition. You have it's an old cliche, but you don't do as much running when you have possession of the ball because everyone else is chasing the ball. So if you can keep possession, you will tire teams out. And if you're fit enough, and they are clearly a very, very fit side, you can pick a team off at the end. And it will dry up. I'm sure that will break at some point. But there's a pattern. It's not a fluke. It's a pattern. They are able to do that. They are not a 1-0 up or 2-1 up. They are not going into the corner flag at home against 10 men in QPR and time wasting. They're trying to score 2 more goals.
That really got to you, didn't it? That really gets to you.
Because in a situation like that, you're like, that's your opportunity to tell people that you're not afraid of anybody and you can put markers down. And they are, I keep saying markers, but they are important. Like, you want to tell people, well, geez, when QPR went down 10 men, Leeds absolutely smashed them at that point. And you're going, no, we didn't. Leicester, when they're against teams coming to the last few minutes of the game, games are won. They're not bringing on extra defenders. They're not bringing on fullbacks. They're not bringing on centre backs. They're going to get a third. They're going to get a fourth. They're trying to absolutely put the game out of reach. And I think that's where we differ from them.
Yeah.
I was just going to say, Maresca, having been an assistant to Guardiola, his style of football, they try to tire the opposition, but it reminds you a little bit of the old Guardiola, the one at Barca, when they used to do the tiki-taka, tack. The slow ball possession, trying to take the opposition out of their shape and try to advance in that specific area with verticality in that case. And that's why we need to play our football, because if we, the Leicester fans said, are going to Leicester to sit down, and I hope we don't do that. Honestly, like we did at St Mary's, we get beaten if that happens. Honestly, so yeah, it's an even game. But if we play with that football, that's the only solution.
I'd like to learn our lessons, though, Andre. I'd like to think we've learned from the defeats. I'd like to think we learned from the defeat to Southampton. I would like to think that some of the work that's done this week, some of the video work they've done this week, will be looking at the Southampton game more so than the Huddersfield or Norwich, because I don't think you learn an awful lot from beating Huddersfield. I don't think you learn anything from that game.
Yeah, absolutely.
But I think you learn an awful lot about how he played against Southampton. The big one for me is, and I wouldn't be surprised if he takes Pirlo out of the team for this game and puts Archie Gray in and plays with 3 in the middle. It wouldn't shock me at all.
Yeah,
I don't think he does.
I don't think he do, but it makes sense.
If I saw, I'd be like, yeah.
It makes sense. It would make sense.
You would do that. Yeah, it would make sense. It would be to just.
It would make sense because he will sort the midfield, and honestly, Pirlo in this type of game, if you don't play him in the 9 and that you said to him, just stay forward, just try to stretch the team, just try to have a physical battle with the 2 defenders, Faes and Westergaard. You don't need to drop him back to play in the 10, because it will get difficult for him in that kind of situation, especially with this team. And they are physical. They are really physical. We played if you remember at the start when they used to interchange him and Rotor in their position, it worked against Ipswich and other teams that were playing an all-out attack. But if you play with a physical team, it doesn't work. So, hopefully, but the only problem is that a player who can stretch the team literally is Bamford. So, if you want to maintain the formation and don't play with three in midfield,
if he started, the fan base would have a meltdown. I'd be okay with it, but the fan base would have a meltdown.
Absolutely, but in the end, it's the manager. It's up to him to make the right decisions for the type of game we're about to play. So, yeah.
I thought Huddersfield was the game he was going to do that in. I thought that's the game he'll start him to really kind of back him. However, Stats was saying earlier on, Leeds are 2 goals away from 6,000 goals as a club. I would be shocked if Bamford got to 6,000. I just wouldn't be shocked at all by it.
It would be.
It's a 3-2 defeat. It's a 3-2 defeat,
folks. We need to recover on the video.
We need to recover him mentally in terms of confidence.
Because whether you like him or not, we have him for the rest of the season. He's ahead of everybody else in the pecking order. Like, I mean, you're not going to drop him for Mateo Joseph. I'd like to see Mateo Joseph come in there because I think he's a finisher, but I just don't see it happening. So if we don't whether we don't rate his form, we don't rate him at all, whether you like him, whether you don't like him, we need to build him back up again because we're going to need him at some point. So we are going to get injuries this year, and he will start games.
See, for me, I mean, there's injuries, but I think Barker's pretty. I don't think he does anything too drastic. I think it'll be the same 11 week in, week out, provided everybody's fit. Now he's got it settled. I don't know, maybe I'm wrong, but I just don't see him.
Do you think Barker has the balls to drop Bamford out of the squad completely? And I mean that again, so many managers haven't.
Yeah, but I don't think he will do if that is the case because we don't have another 9. He will do that if we have an alternative in terms of a player with the characteristics, the type of player, a number 9 with the characteristics similar to Bamford, but we don't have one right now because Joseph is different player in terms of how he plays.
He does run around though. He will press and he will run around. He can do that. So here's the other question that I have for the series. Sorry, Joe, I'm taking over. We said for ages we needed a number 9. We went and bought that number 9 and we played him in number 10. So we still need a number 9 then technically because we haven't played him as a number 9. And Rutter's, I don't care what anyone says about Jorginho Rutter. For me, he's not playing in the number 9 role. He's just not there. He's everywhere else.
I agree.
So do Leeds have to look then? So do Leeds still have to go out in January and buy number 9?
Absolutely.
The mad thing is, and I said this, even if they don't in January, Pirlo will need replacing if we got promoted to the Premier League. I've said it before.
Yeah, both him and
I don't know if replacing's the right word, but someone else would have to be brought in.
He suits the Premier League probably better. I think he suits the tight spaces. I think he might actually suit it an awful lot better.
Not in the 10.
But I'm not sure he's what Leeds
You can't play in the 10 in the Premier League. He'd get murdered.
I don't think he can play in 10 now, being honest about it. I think
exactly.
It's nice. I do appreciate, and I've made an attempt to watch him because you can miss an awful lot of what he does do. He does some lovely decoy runs.
Do you not think he improved against Huddersfield? I thought
he did.
Without being involved, he was more involved, if that makes sense.
There were more spaces.
Like the second or third link player.
As well,
but he's like the second or third link player in like 5. He's not the assist. He's not the third. The assist to the assist. But he's in the middle there. He is involved in build-ups. He is linking play. He's not doing anything spectacular. I would still like to see him in the box an awful lot more than he is because I think the kind of crosses Dan James puts in, and been saying this since preseason, the kind of balls that Dan James is smashing across the box are tailor-made for him to tap in. Yeah. But we never have anybody in there because Jorginho's 60 yards deeper trying to win the ball and set us up, and then Pirlo's hanging around the 10 on the edge of the box. There's no one in there still. And I still think that's a gap that we need to fill. I understand that we shouldn't complain about it because we're winning games more often than not. But my question is this. Yes, we're winning games with Pirlo in the 10 and Rutter in the 9. However, would we be more dominant? Would we win games by larger margins if we had a natural number 10 playing in the number 10 and a natural number 9 playing in the number 9? That's the argument for me. Like the games against Stoke, do they get mitigated completely by that? And all of a sudden Leeds go and win those games. Do we do more? And again, the other side of having a natural number 10 is they'll drop into midfield and help out. They'll cover the extra.
Interesting if we'd assigned Amiri, wouldn't it? How Amiri would have gone.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, you look at like where Winks is going to play. He's going to drop in a little bit deep to pick up the ball for Leicester. If you've got a number 10, a natural number 10, he picks him up straight away, and that's that done. Yeah. Because we don't have that, that doesn't happen. It doesn't get done, because he's not naturally going to track that player because he hasn't done it in his career, But and then if you've got a number 9, he's likely to get in the box and the ball's across there and be there, So there's always been a case of Leeds over the last, I'd go back 10 years probably now at this stage, of square pegs and round holes. We've been saying I feel like we've been saying it for so long. Square peg round hole. Like we've got a right back that's not a right back, a left back that's a right back, a number 10 that's a 9.
United way, mate. It is our DNA.
Yeah. But if we ever did put out an 11 that played exactly where their specialist positions are, would it be a better version of what we've got right now? And I'm not saying that. So to make that point, I'm not saying we're poor. I'm saying could we be even better? Really challenge them. Because I don't think Leicester are playing with square pegs.
No, they're not. No. Let's talk about some. I want to because I want to do our 11, then I want to see a combined one. But I just want to talk about some key battles. So, like for me, there's Rutter, Keane, and Dewsbury Hall. Who's going to impact the game the most? I think for us. I mean, in terms of chances created, they're both up there, and then obviously from a control perspective, we're talking Winks and Ampadu. I'm really excited about these players going up. So I just wanted to get your thoughts. I'll come to you first, Andrea. Like, who do you see the battle with? Who's going to win each battle?
For the type of game,
I know they're not against each other on the pitch, but like in terms of, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I guess what you meant. Honestly, Dewsbury Hall versus Rutter, two different kind of players. We were talking about the number 10. If we had Dewsbury Hall in our team, for example, he could have been the third midfielder if he wanted to play with a 3 midfield, because he'd be going up and coming back to form a 3 back line in the middle when we need to defend. Rutter, brilliant player in the 10. Because he starts in the 9, but he drops back and he plays all around the free roam, But I think for the type of game, I think the game will suit more Dewsbury Hall in this situation, because with 3 players, we are outnumbered, and Rutter is not used to defending. Dewsbury Hall can do that instead, because he played in different formations under Brendan Rodgers at Leicester. So he's more used and more suited to play in different roles. Rutter is not, because he was tried as the typical 9 at the start. If you remember, there were games where, for example, West Brom, where he was barely involved. When he struggled massively, he looked out of place. It looked like we were playing with 10 men. Then with the switch in his positioning, of course he starts in the 9, but he drops back. He's more like the 10 in the team. He's the real 10, not Pirlo in the end, because we're playing with 2-10, an all-around 10 and a static 10. I think Rutter may struggle because, they are physical. They will try to be physical towards him. It'll be crucial because he needs to move around, but the weakness in his game tomorrow might be the defending part of it, because he'll need to go back and help in certain situations. Ampadu and hopefully Kamara, because I really hope he plays Kamara, not again with 2 holding midfielders. I even hope he plays with Ampadu and Gray. I hope Gray plays, but in the right back position. I think Kamara can be the one comparable to Dewsbury Hall in terms of what he needs to do. So moving all around and carrying the ball forward. So Dewsbury Hall for me instead of Rutter. The other one was
Winks and Ampadu.
Winks and Ampadu, the big debate. Exactly. The two similar players. Yeah. I think Winks is good in playing with 2 touches, in breaking out the play from the back with bringing verticality instantly, especially going with the through balls towards the strikers. But I think all around, Ampadu moves more, and I think he has more vision. So I'm going to say Ampadu, and he'll need to move a lot, because I think that will be really, unlike the comparison between Dewsbury Hall and Rutter, a one-on-one. They may even mark each other, I think, because the other two, head of the two build-up players, playmakers in the team, in each of the teams. So they'll probably go for each other in the middle of the park. We might see a former England player battling against a Welsh international. So we're up for it. It needs to be up for it. Yeah, Ampadu.
Yeah, definitely. It's gonna be interesting. Joe, I'm just gonna flash this up for us now. I've took the liberty of putting together the lineup. Do you think there'll be many changes from what you see there?
I think you're bang on the money.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's exactly what I have.
I'd like to see Gray as well, and I've totally forgot about him, but I think he goes Shackleton there. Do you? Or
yeah, I think Shaq's been the more consistent there. I know Gray's first game was excellent. Second game, not so much. Third game, good bits and not so good bits. But I think Shaq's been pretty solid when he has played there. I mean, I know there are some people who don't think he's an amazing player. I think he's an average player, but I think he's a consistently average player, and that's not a bad thing to have in this situation. Shaq's will do his job. He's got pace as well. He can track. He has played, at this level for a while. He knows what it's about. He knows what this game is about as well. So I think, Shaq's at right back makes sense to me. My only theory is I'd love to see the Rutter and Pirlo swap. I really would love to see what would happen if that ever happened. But for me, I think that if he does make any changes, and it is a massive if, I think it's Pirlo out and Gray in.
Gray in?
Yeah, I think this is just me guessing. I'm saying if, and it is a big if, he makes any changes, it'll be an additional midfielder. I think he'll put in an out-and-out midfielder. So I think you'll see Kamara push on higher up, and you'll see Gray and Ampadu sit in. That's if he decides to go. Look at Leicester. We've spoken an awful lot about what we should be worried about Leicester with, but there's also there's also areas that Leicester need to be worried about Leeds as well.
Yes, of course.
And Jorginho Rutter is the one for me. I think that they might actually, if he goes roaming like he likes to do, I think they'll struggle to pick him up. I don't think Dewsbury Hall or Winks or any of them will track him around the park. I think they'll let him go and then try and pick him up when he comes forward. But seeing how good his passing and the weight of his passes, he could very easily get the likes of Somerville in behind. He's picking players out so well. So if he goes roaming, I think they might have a problem on their hands to deal with him. We need to protect him a little bit, to Andrea's point, because he will be targeted. They are a physical side as well. They can mix it up. So, but we have a lot of positives that they have to worry about as well. We've got two very good midfielders. If Glenn Kamara plays as well as he did in the first half against Huddersfield, he was probably his best game. Yeah. He kind of goes good game, poor game, good game, poor game. But there's no middle ground in him. He's not knocking out an average performance. He's either really, really good or he's off his game a little bit. Yeah. So if he can click in with a good performance, I'm happy with our midfield. I think the two lads will be okay and they can handle it. The only situation is what we do when they drop an extra man in there.
You know what, actually?
Go on, Andrea.
Joe's point is good, because if we switch to 4-3-3, honestly, I'll do an experiment. So Ampadu as the playmaker, Kamara on the left and Gray on the right. I won't play James. I'll switch Rutter on the right and play Bamford up front.
Oh, he's never going to do that, though. He's
never going to do that. But it would be a good. So you have Rutter and Somerville going central, roaming. They may even switch, like Bielsa used to do with the two wingers. And you have a player style to stretch the team, and you are covered because you have three midfielders then. But if he doesn't do that, and he sticks with the idea, the usual formation, 4-2-3-1, I like to see Gray against Mavididi, honestly, because he's more physical than Shackleton. And
instead of having Jamie Shack out there.
Yeah, it's not because of Shackleton, because he's been useful. He's been always ready when he's been called upon, from the bench into the starting lineup. But I think Gray can match Mavididi in terms of physicality and speed. I think Shackleton in terms of physicality might struggle against Mavididi. Yeah.
Potentially, yeah. He's a big lad, isn't he, Mavididi? He's quite tall.
Yeah, he's big.
He is very big, you're right. Right, okay, well, that's the lead. Listen, as much as we've made little tinkers, if we were betting men, we'd probably go with this,
team.
Right? Yeah?
Yeah, unchanged team for betting.
Yeah, unchanged. Yeah. Let's go through and see if we would add any Leicester players to this. Andrea wanted to do a bit of a combined 11.
Yeah.
We've seen a few flying about lately as well, to be honest, online and whatnot. So let's have a look and get this done. So who we thinking in terms? Right, let's start with the goalkeeper. Obviously, Meslier versus Hermansen. I've seen a lot of people go with Hermansen. I'm a massive fan of Meslier. Obviously, I'm biased, but what's people's thoughts?
I think I prefer Meslier, honestly. I think Hermansen has a very good defense side of him. But Meslier, when he needed to make saves, apart from the mistake, but it's better it happened when we were up 4-0, you know. He's been consistent so far, I think, Meslier, after the first game against Cardiff. So, in perspective, I think try to look at the future paths, career paths for both players. I'll prefer Meslier, honestly, in terms of his goalkeeping style. He's even started to come out for crosses. Hermans is a good goalkeeper and international. Of course, he has Michael ahead of him in the Danish squad, but between the two very good goalkeepers. But right now, I prefer Meslier, honestly.
Yeah. What about you, Andrea? Not Andrea, sorry, Joe.
Similar. Two goalkeepers of a similar age, but I think Meslier's got far more experience in terms of games played at a higher level. Herman's a very good goalkeeper. He's a very good goalkeeper. But I think people are kind of calling back to the game last week, saying Meslier mistake because of the goal.
Oh man, I've seen it all week. They do me head in. People saying he should be dropped and that. It's crazy talk.
I always dropped has a conversation with other people as well. When
serious people want him dropped. Give Darlow a chance and that. It's like, what are you talking about?
Back to this thing about give this person, X person, a chance. No one gets a chance in professional football. You don't give people a chance. They earn their spot. And that's the big... What I will say about that is, the people that point out Meslier is at fault, and I used to always say this, if you're looking at football and you're analysing football, it's very easy to look at the last mistake and say, there, him, he's the fault. If you go back 2 or 3 phases, you can see where how many times was there an opportunity to stop that ball ever getting near your goalkeeper. And the first part of this season, we talked an awful lot about the fact that our defenders are making sure there's less opportunities coming at Meslier, which therefore gives him, you know, a bit of a breather, which is needed. You got to protect your goalkeepers at every level. If you look at that goal, nobody presses the strike from the edge of the box. Nobody presses it. So from a defensive perspective, I was analysing that game. I've got a big problem with my defenders. Why is nobody going out to meet that ball? Why is no one going out to press him and put him under pressure? Why is he being allowed a free strike from the edge of the box? That's not good enough. Yes, Meslier is at fault for dropping the ball, 100%. No argument there. However, I also want my defenders following in shots to cover the goalkeeper. And Liam Cooper doesn't react to the man that he's marking who scores the goal when Meslier drops it. Cooper reacts and marks his player tight, or if he's just closer to him and holds him, that goal doesn't go in. So you've got 3 opportunities just there alone to stop that ball going in the back of the net. Meslier is one of the 3. There's still 2 other areas that other people are at fault. And then if you go back further, why did the ball get to that part of the park? Who hasn't closed down a player? Who hasn't intercepted a pass? Or who gave the ball away? There's so many different areas to go. You cut at one of them, you stop the goal. You know, it's not always the goalkeeper's fault. No. He should have done better with it.
But playing in miles onside. You've got Cooper. I mean, it was so disjointed.
Stands there, man. Just watches the player run off his shoulder and tap it in. That's a problem. And then free shots. Like, you can't. You've got to limit opportunities to opposition teams. Have we said this at the start of this video? If you give teams opportunity, they'll score goals. We can't do that. And that was an opportunity because you let a Huddersfield player get a clear sight on goal, have time to get a strike like that. That has to be stopped as well. So there's a couple of people there. And I can't blame Cooper because he was marking the player who scored and he didn't react, and the player who scored did react. And that's bad defending.
Can I just say, because Michael, right, you comment about Meslier on every single video, both pre-record, both live, right? It's clear you don't rate him, okay? But he's a championship goalkeeper. He's at Leeds United in the championship, right? Man United just spent 90-odd million or 80-odd million on Onana, right? Guess what? He makes fecking errors. Goalkeepers make errors. Goalkeepers that don't make errors are in a totally different stratosphere to what Leeds United could bring into the football club. In terms of what Meslier does for this side, he's a great goalkeeper. I don't know what else you want. Like, who... let's not forget, since this kid, and that's what he is, a kid, right? He came in after, Kiko Casilla and his racism and all that sort of stuff. He came in, and then from then has been the number one for this football club. Seen promotion to the Premier League, has had to go through, a torrid time last season. He's not to blame for that. Yes, his goalkeeper should have been better, and there was a period of time when every time he faced the shot, it went in the back of the net. I hear all that. And he
faced more shots, Joe, last year than any other goalkeeper in that league. So you're going to concede more on that alone, on averages 100%.
Alone. He's the last line of defence. He's the last line of defence of a defence that was fecking porous. That was like a sponge in terms of just soaking in goals, right? So let's not forget that. Let's not forget as well that Ilian Meslier, when Leeds United were good, under Marcelo Bielsa, became the youngest ever goalkeeper to reach as many clean sheets as he did, beating one Joe Hart, who played at Manchester City. City, right?
Winning league titles.
Who were winning league titles, right? This is a guy that were playing at Leeds United that defensively weren't that great. So, right, okay. Can I just say, I've called you up because you continuously ask. So I'm giving a defense of Meslier, right? Why does he need a rest? In what world do you rest a goalkeeper? Now your arguments change from him being shit to him needing a rest. But him needing a rest, who rests a goalkeeper?
A mistake against Huddersfield, Joe. He hasn't made any mistakes this year that I can think of.
No, he hasn't. Man. He's not.
And he does do things that are bad because he's still a very young goalkeeper. He will still make mistakes. And if you already pointed out, the best goalkeepers in the world make mistakes, and they go through runs of bad form as well. We've had great goalkeepers in the past play for Leeds who've gone through runs of bad games. But don't forget the backup goalkeeper that we have
was shit.
Didn't exactly. Well, I'll never say anyone's shit because I'm not shit at that level, but. Would I start him after what I've seen in preseason game that he played and in the cup match that he played? Would I start him in a game like this? Probably not. No.
Yeah.
So that's your option. So then what do? You want Meslier out. Darlow's probably needs more games to be really judged, to be fair. But given he hasn't played, you don't throw him in for this kind of a game. Maybe you do against a Leicester.
Part of that back four. Meslier, when asked on an interview, who do you most like playing with? He said Pascal Struijk. Because he knows where he's going to be. Please, what I will say, when you watch Leeds United, and look at the confidence that is exuded with that trio, with that triangle, with Meslier, with Rodon, and with Struijk. Now, if you add different players into that, a la Cooper, Meslier looks worse when he's passing out from the back because Cooper's all over the shop. Struijk's on the right-hand side. However, when you have that trifecta, that trio, for me, when I've been watching them this season, all I see is confidence. No more. Think back to last season under the coaching of Jesse Marsh, the amount of times Meslier would put the ball into touch. Every single time he would pop a ball out to Ayling, it would go into touch. Pop a ball out to Ayling, it would go into touch. When was the last time he did that?
But Joe,
he doesn't.
Last year, we bought a dud in Rutter, because last year we were crap.
Yeah.
We had 4 managers last year, 4 different styles of football. It takes 6 to 9 weeks for a manager to get their style of play implemented. We had a different manager every couple of weeks at one point, Jesse didn't have a style of play. It was panic. And you were leaving your goalkeeper completely exposed consistently for counterattacks under Jesse. So there's lots of other reasons. Before last season, people weren't calling for Elliott to be dropped. People were waxing lyrical about how he's the best young goalkeeper in the world and was Paris Saint-Germain wanted him and Chelsea wanted him, Newcastle wanted him. You had a bad... I always feel sorry for goalkeepers because if they make a mistake, it's a goal. Anyone else makes a mistake on the pitch, they've got opportunities to stop it from going in. But Andy Mack, I love you, but I don't agree that there's 15 better goalkeepers in the championship.
No, I've just seen that I starred it because that is absolutely insane, Andy. That is.
I'd like to know who's 15 better goalkeeper, and I know it's probably tongue in cheek, Andy.
He's in the top 2, him and Hermanson. I believe that.
Well, hang on, we're third in the league.
One-on-one, by the way, Meslier is unreal. One-on-one. One-on-one is.
Well, look, I just asked Haaland every time he went up against one-on-one with Meslier nearly got the better of him, So. Look, you can't take a season like last year where it was so bad and there were so many managers and so many different styles of play and then apply it to everything going forward in the future. He's had a bad time of it last season, but he was exposed more than any other goalkeeper last year. He faced more shots than any keeper in the Premier League last year. We won the worst defense in the league last year. And then at a period of time when the ball's constantly going past you, you know, your confidence is going to take a kicking. And then when the fans start getting on your back, and then when people are on social media telling you you're crap and get rid of you as well, he's getting hammered from all angles. You know, he knows it's not good enough. He's been very good this year in games. Yes, he made a mistake against Huddersfield, but he wasn't the only one. You know, there's mistakes he made. Every goal we've conceded this year is a mistake by somebody, but you don't see them getting pulled out and called out because they're not the goalkeeper. Do you know what I mean? Like, so he's catching things this year, as Andrea said, where last year he was punching everything. He's coming for crosses this year where he's never come for crosses. He's coming out with the ball.
He has improved massively.
He was nearly at the halfway line bringing the ball out last week against Huddersfield. He's carrying the ball out for it to allow us to get further up the park. There's a lot of good stuff that he's doing. Is he perfect? No, he's not. No. Is he? But I keep saying this with goalkeepers. He is so far away from the peak of his career. He's about 10 years away from his peak. From being at, like when he's 33, 34, you were talking about, that's when you're judging him. You know, that's when you're saying, is he a good or is he a bad goalkeeper? But like, he's 23, he's super young. We've exposed him to more issues than keepers that age are ever exposed to. 100%. Hermanson's in a different bracket. Hermanson's coming into a Leicester side this year who are walking away with the league, and he's the number one. He was at Bromby before that. Like, this guy hasn't had to struggle in front of bad defenses. Do you know what I mean? Like, Bromby are a big team in their league.
Please let me just respond. Go on, Andrea, before I respond.
A very quick one, Joe. Also, I read some comments about Darlow. You know, we're saying that we're judging goalkeepers this season for one mistake. Melia had one clear mistake against Huddersfield. Darlow didn't. Darlow had a bad game at Salford, and people are ruling it out. Darlow is a good backup goalkeeper. He can even be a starter. In other teams, he'll start if he wasn't at Leeds. He's at Leeds and he's the backup choice. But
he started at Hull last year, didn't he?
Yeah,
sorry. Diggler is saying Klassen is better than Roberts. If you've watched the under-21s last season, Chris Klassen has so many mistakes in his locker. It's incredible.
Klassen will never play first-team football for Leeds United.
He'll never play a first-team game for Leeds, and they're looking at replacing him already. So they've already looked at a goalkeeper in Sweden to replace the guy playing for Mjällby. So they're already looking at replacing Klassen. Klassen is not good enough because if you go back over the last 2 seasons and watch on 21 games, he has made countless errors in that team. He lost his place to Danny van der Heuvel last season in the under-21 side. So you can't just throw a name and go, well, he's the best goalkeeper. Based on what?
Let me just respond to a few and then we'll wrap it up. So he says he flaps at everything Joe makes to hold defense. That's a lie and factually incorrect. Because there's only been one time this season when a ball's come in and he's punched it and it's gone to a player and we've conceded. Once. Every other time this season, when he comes and claims a ball, okay, he doesn't catch them, but when he punches them or pushes them out, they are going way out. So that's not right. So I don't know where you're getting that from. And Michael says, just my opinion, corners. Why do our defenders have to babysit him? Every single team.
That's their job. That's their job.
Every single team near enough puts a player on a goalkeeper and the goalkeeper gets another player in between them. Nearly every single team does that.
Yeah, otherwise they do defense with Emerson, they do the same.
Exactly. It's mental.
Yeah.
It's mental.
When I've coached and managed my for corners especially, but in teams specifically to start when you're starting off with a new team, it's always protect your goalkeeper. Because one-on-one, it's not in the keeper's favour, it's in the attacker's. An attacker one-on-one with a goalkeeper should score. If an attacker misses one-on-one, the team that has the goalkeeper will go, great save by the goalkeeper. But the manager of the team with the attacker will rip him a new one after the game, going, you should be finishing those chances. You're one-on-one, you should bury it. So it's always in the attacker's favour. Melia has been fine one-on-one. He does an awful lot, but you've got to protect every keeper, every club, everyone. You protect your goalkeeper by putting a good defense. If you didn't want to protect your goalkeeper, then why bother having good centre backs? Why not put an extra couple of midfielders and then just go for it and go all out attack? You know, there is logic to football as well as just, you know, back to vibes again. But yeah, there is. There has to be some logic to it.
Right, let's move on from the goalkeeper. And
I like Banker.
Yeah, same. Right, okay, let's talk about right back. So for me, I mean, we have to concede that's probably Ricardo Pereira of Leicester City, surely.
Yeah.
How do I spell Pereira, folks? Does anyone know? Pereira. Like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nailed
great
it.
stuff. Okay, centre backs. So for me, I'd have both of ours. However, normally I'm like, I think we should have one of each. But what do you think, folks?
If we look at the
Leave Byron.
positioning,
You got Justin on the other side, and I think Byron's been
Let's
better
do
this
the
season.
centre backs. Let's do the
no,
centre backs.
with the centre backs, if we go position per position, right centre back and left centre back,
Yeah.
I'll have Rodon over Fayez with his sideshow Bob hairstyle because I think he's more good with the ball carrying. So I'll have Rodon, honestly. Fayez he's been doing well this season, but if you look at him in the Premier League, he was terrible for me. He was terrible. And for my ideal football, I get that Westergaard is more reliable in terms of physicality, aerial duels.
Struijk out. Struijk's got ahead of
No,
Rodon for me.
I'll pick Struijk, honestly, for my idea of football, because he's more good with his feet and he's more versatile. Westergaard is an old school centre back, physical, strong, just like Fayez, for example. But yeah, also we don't know if it's Fayez or Cody, so one of the two. I've gone for Fayez and Westergaard, but you can go for Cody if you like.
Cody won't start. I think it'll be Fess and Vestergaard. But so are we happy with Struijk and Rodon as opposed to just one of each?
I think Fast this year has been very, very good. Last year I wouldn't thought he was good at all, but this year he has been very, very good and very consistent. So it's tough though.
I'm not letting you take Struijk out, by the way. Struijk's better than Rodon, by the way.
But I think Rodon does the dirty stuff a lot better.
Oh,
I think
Rodon is better. Rodon is better than Struijk.
Tackling, the covering is very, very good.
He's not Andrea, man. He's not
better.
He's mate.
He's not.
Good with the
In what world?
Aerial duels. Also,
I think,
go, Jer. Go.
I think Struijk is a better footballer than Rodon. I think Struijk reads the game very well, but I think Rodon reads the game slightly better than Struijk, and I think he covers better than Struijk. That's not to say that Struijk's bad at it. I think Rodon, if you look at the last ditch tackles and that, Rodon reads that really, really well. He gets there.
But levels
coming out,
I won't have it.
We don't start moves without Struijk. He's been fantastic coming out. His distribution is both footed player. He's very, very good in there. So it's tough. Fast has been very good for Leicester though, and we're very biased here, but I think Fast has been really, really good for them. But it's a toss of a kind. I don't think there's a huge amount between the three of them.
Yeah, but as Pascal Struijk, I'm gonna say Rodon is better. Okay.
No, it's not, bro.
No, I said as the Pascal Struijk.
Oh yeah. I was gonna say, how can you say this about your twin, man? You're basically his twin. Yeah, they do say this, Vic. You're right that Vestergaard has been the standout, but I do think, listen, they have got different skill sets. But if I was asking which centre back I would choose, it'd be Struijk all day. Listen, as good as Byram is, I think we have to concede that James Justin is better than Byram.
Yeah,
I disagree.
Yeah. You disagree?
Well, if we're basing it on this season, Byram's got the best one-on-one stats in the league for a fullback.
James Justin's a better player, though, isn't he?
But that's what are we basing on, last season or this season?
Mate, we can't put Byram over James Justin. Who would you rather have in your side?
Right now, the stats say that Sam
No,
Byram
I'm asking not about stats.
No,
I'm asking you.
I'm working on facts. The facts say Sam Byram, as a defender, 1v1, Sam Byram is better one-on-one.
People know how much I love Byram. I love Byram. I was happy when we signed him, but for me, James Justin is probably a Premier League player.
I feel like a UN diplomat between the two of you. Like, no.
You know what? We do these things all the time, and I go, yeah, right, fair enough. Yeah, right, fair enough. You're not taking Sam Byram out of that team. Put him back in. Not having that. You can have Pereira. I agree with that, but you're not getting Sam Byram out of the team. He's been really good, really, really good.
Oh, he has. Yeah, I'm not disagreeing on that. What do you think, Andrea?
I love James Justin, honestly.
Ooh,
come on.
James Justin.
Ganged up on.
If I ask the chat, they're going to say Byram. But it's Justin. It is Justin, man.
We can sort it out and put Junior Firpo in there.
Imagine. Well, listen, then at least we've got 2 Leeds, 2 Leicester. Yeah? We'll do it that. Okay. Right?
No, I'm not saying fine. No. Don't do it fine. Like, no, it's not fine. No.
Are we keeping the same formation?
I think we should go with a 4-3-3 in order to have more comparisons. Yeah.
If you
Is
go
it
with a
good?
4, a 2, and a 1 in front, like a 10, like a
Like
two
this one, yeah.
triangles, that's close to both systems because the 4-2-3 one that we play can be a 4-3-3 as well in attack or 4-2-4.
Yeah.
So at the
And they're
base,
4-2-3.
are we saying Ethan?
I say
I think he
Ethan.
stays there, yeah.
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 Do we? We've got to see. For me, straight away, I'm thinking Ethan, Winks, Keenan, Dewsbury Hall.
Yep, agree.
Yeah,
agree.
I agree.
Yeah,
I agree.
is that what we're saying? So we go Winks, and then
So we don't go Winks against Tampa, do?
No. Oh, right. Okay. So I was just thinking we were doing you want to do position for position?
Yeah, I was thinking position
right,
for position,
okay.
in terms of the balls,
Oh, I was
Okay,
I
so-
was like you there. I
so
was thinking we just put the best
Yeah,
best team out. Because in that case, Sam
Alright,
Byron.
okay.
No, we can do that. We can do that if you want to. No worries.
Yeah. So yeah, I was just thinking if we do like a combined, no?
Yeah, we can do
That's
the
what I was
combined one.
Yeah.
I was thinking position for position one. It's the same. Don't.
Yeah.
It's the same thing. Don't worry.
So happy
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
that's the best three.
with the best three in midfield there. Somerville doesn't come out, does he?
I agree.
Definitely not.
No.
So on the right hand side, is it Mavididi?
Mavididi, yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Mavididi, I think. Who See, this is the thing. Like
He's there.
Rutter's not a 9, but you have to
No.
find a place for Rutter, don't you? Like Rutter has to play in this side.
Again, if we're going off numbers, he has created the most big chances in the league this year. Now, he hasn't scored the most goals and he hasn't got the most assists, but he has created that. And then if you look at Dewsbury Hall has created 11 chances this year. 11 goal involvements this year. Chris Somerville's right behind him on 10. So they're both already in the team. Your next one is Rutter.
Yeah. But then it's like, we don't have a proper 9, do we?
Exactly.
We don't have a proper 9, Joe.
So it's the rotary enough.
It's taken us 4 months to get there. We do not have a number 9.
So, are we happy?
That's a cracking team.
Yeah.
It is. Yeah. For sure.
Be
I know
a
Leicester are top of the league,
mid
but
Premier
that's
League
the
team.
Yeah,
That's a comfortably mid-table Premier League side. Yeah.
definitely.
And I wouldn't say that as a negative. I think it's a very good.
Oh,
Now, Joe, the task for you is doing exactly this team in EAFC.
Exactly what Vic said there. That's exactly
yeah.
what Vic has said there is exactly what would happen. That is it. Yeah, he would drop out, create the hole, and Dewsbury Hall would bomb through it.
Yeah.
A natural number 10,
Yeah.
making number 10. Can we have a number
Yeah.
10, please?
Lazlo
So-
Benes. Remember the name.
I don't think there's any
Who?
up for contention apart from some. Joe
Number 10.
thinks it should be Byram over Justin.
100% should be. I'm not even a slight bit of doubt in my mind.
Yeah.
I've never been more confident about anything, Joe. Ever.
Listen, I'm a massive fan of him. Here's a question for you then, Joe. Do you want Leeds United to go out and get a first choice left back?
Because even
But if you had-
even as good as
If you had
Byram
James
is,
Justin, you probably wouldn't replace him.
if he was already in the team, I wouldn't know. But if we're going head to head based on what they've done this season, again, I would work off it as a left back. How do you do defensively? You know, are you being? And I go back to how I'm trying to be consistent because last year my criticism of Junior Firpo has always been 1v1. He's awful. He gets done every time. Leaves space in behind for players running behind him. You look at Sam Byram, it doesn't happen with him. Ball rarely goes around the outside of him down the flank. He 1-on-1, he wins the ball 9 times out of 10. So teams create less chances on his side of the pitch because he's so effective 1v1, and he can get forward and get involved in attacks as well. And he suits Farke's system because he's inverted naturally because he's right-footed. So it works quite well. But you're not going to get 30 games a season out of him. But you've also got the option of if you do have a natural left back, then our right back situation right now isn't the problem anymore because Sam goes over to right back. And he's very good there as well. And then you've got a natural left back and a natural right back there. You're not playing Shaqs there or Archie there. So
Do you know we've got
Jamie Dixon said Leaf Davis. Absolutely.
We've got less than 8 weeks now away from this January window. So it's countdown time. What do we need, lads? Like, what do we need and how many do we need?
3. Striker, number 10, and left back.
Yeah.
I don't think we go for a striker, though. I really don't think
I
we will.
don't
I
either,
mean,
but that's what I would like.
3-4 weeks ago, I think I was saying I think it'd be very hard to pick anybody to bring into this team because they were doing so well, and then they had the couple of blips, a couple of bad performances, and now you're looking at it. I think we need a natural ball playing number 10, and I think Farkas still wants one because he wouldn't have gone after Amiri if he didn't want one.
Yeah.
So I think that might happen again. Amiri's only played
What's the
7
guy
minutes.
at Celtic he was after as well? What's his
Yeah,
name?
he was after
Matt
Matt
O'Reilly.
O'Reilly. Yeah, and
O'Reilly,
Matt O'Reilly hasn't signed a new contract. They've tried to get him to sign a new deal, but he hasn't signed a new deal. But there will be a lot of Premier League clubs interested in him. He absolutely lit up Atletico Madrid last week. He was fantastic against them.
Man of the match.
So I don't think you get him. I think he's gone now.
Okay.
That ship has sailed. I think he's now out of it. Very strange. I think
he's also being called up by Denmark.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, Matt O'Reilly, he's playing for Celtic. He's Danish international. It's ridiculous. I think there's clearly there's Irish blood in him somewhere.
Yeah, he has 3 passports: England, Ireland, Republic of Ireland, Denmark.
It's greedy, isn't it?
Stephen Kennedy didn't call him up.
Stephen Kennedy's an idiot. That's why. Okay, and Stephen Kennedy talk. But yeah, I think number 10. I think we have to go and buy a left back. I think you don't get Charlie Taylor now because he's now back in the Burnley side. He's got himself back in because their season's not been great. So I think you don't get him. So then maybe you're looking at. I look. I would have known we should bring Leif Davis back to the club. You know, I think it was right at the right time. Well, I think at the time we sold him was the right decision to make at that time because at that time he wasn't pushing for the team. But I think he's had a season in the League One where he's the top assists as of any position in the league, and he's a left back last year.
He had more assists than Messi at one point.
Yeah, but he's got the top assist in the championship this year as well. He's top it up again, so he's again 2 years in a row, 2 different levels. He's produced it. So, but he suits the system that Ipswich play, and McKenna likes him in this certain style, and that works. So, would he fit? Is the question. But I think a natural left back is needed. Senior Firpo is back this weekend, and I think
I could be in the squad.
I think if he's ever going to do anything, and I really hope people don't start with the Junior Firpo apology letters when he has a half decent game because he's playing in the championship, you know, and he's played for Barcelona and Real Betis. He should be very, very good in the championship. If he's not very, very good in the championship, or if he gets injured again before January, you've got to move on from him. You've got to move away from him. Because remember, this is a player who we found out this summer when the interviews were kind of shared, said he doesn't like football. He doesn't like the cold in Leeds. So he's not a happy person where he is right now. So I would rather we move on from him and get a proper left back. And then I think we need another centre back. But I think we need a first choice centre back that can compete for the right centre back position with Rodon, because I don't want to see Liam coming in games anymore. I love the guy. I love what he's done for Leeds, but I just don't want to see him in the team anymore because of what we've seen in the last couple of weeks. And if Charlie Creswell is not in Daniel Farke's consideration to be that right centre back, if he's willing to put people in the wrong positions rather than play a natural right-footed centre back, then I think you've got to go and sign a right centre back as well, because that's an issue. That's becoming an issue. I think they're the 3 he goes for. I don't think he goes for number 9. I agree with Andrea why we should get number 9. I just don't think he does it because I think he does rate Mateo Joseph as well, because he did like him in preseason a lot. So I think you might see him coming in over Christmas and getting some game time. He did mention some of the younger players getting some game time in the next couple of weeks.
I think if with the new ownership, they are inside during the summer transfer window by all the mess left behind by Orta and all the usual suspects, you know. And also, by the way, there's rumors in Italy that Rodrizzani may leave Sampdoria very soon too.
Really?
Yeah. And I think the new ownership will be aggressive. If we're not in a position to challenge for the second place in January, they'll need to start buying players in order to try to tighten the gap. You know, to tie the gap. The left back, Leif Davis, will be the perfect one for me, but I think he has watchers in the league above, you know, in the first tier, you know, in the Premier League. So yeah, I also agree on the centre back, but the only way we get the centre back, I think, is if one between Cresswell and Krupel leaves. So I don't like to see Cresswell going out on loan again. But Cooper, will he accept to be then the 5th choice centre back and stay?
Cooper?
Yeah.
at his age, and keeping in mind the comments he made last year about him admitting that his starting games every week were behind him, I think he needs to accept that he doesn't. He just doesn't fit it anymore. Like, I mean, it's a horrible thing to say, and I really don't like saying. I'm not one of these people that's like, get rid. I'm never like that with any player. But I think with Cooper, there needs to be a phasing out of this, and I think you've got to start looking at younger players coming in there and playing more regularly. The smartest move Leeds can do in January is the first thing that happens on day 1 of January is you give 15 million to Spurs and you lock down Rodon for next season. Done. Straight away. Done. Yeah. Get that done. Because if we don't go up,
there's talk of Everton locking down Harrison, isn't they, at 30 million or something? I've seen.
They can't afford it. But the thing with Everton is, so Everton have a couple of issues. Obviously, Bill Kenwright's passed away, and respected him for that. Yeah. Don't like a joke out of it. Yeah, Bill Kenwright's passed away, which means their takeover is really not in a good place. The partners, 777 partners, or whatever they're called, basically. They're waiting to see what happens with the financial fair play situation before they make a jump on it or not. So if they do get deducted to 12 points, there's a possibility the takeover won't go through. And they're kind of bankrolling the club currently with loans. So they could just like, this isn't for us. We want our loans paid back. They've got 12-point deduction. They don't have a lot of money, Everton. They're not. And 30 million, they won't be able to afford 30 million for Jackie. And Jack's, I think in the news today, but Jack was criticised at the weekend by the local media because of his lack of impact in the final third, or lack of end product. We've seen that as Leeds fans. We usually see between January and March is when Jackie goes missing, but they're starting to talk about it already.
Leave him alone, man. Leave him alone.
No, but my bare balance this morning is you judge Jack Harrison at the end of the season, you look at the numbers they put up, and he'll always be in and around top marks with assists and goals. But they're seeing the other side of Jack Harrison now. So they don't have money to buy Jack Harrison to go after Chris Somerville and maybe go after Brillianto again. They're the 3 Leeds players they wanted to buy in the summer. The thing with the transfers is I don't believe Fabrizio Romano starts talking about things unless there's noise. And he's talking an awful lot about Chris Somerville, and about U-turns on decisions to stay at Leeds and what's next, because there's a ton of Premier League clubs looking at him. I wouldn't be shocked if Willy Gnonto. No, I don't think the club will sell him. No, I don't think he will. But then the other question is, will Willy Gnonto try and go again, because he's not playing, and I think he'll struggle to get into the team at the moment. They keep playing the way they're playing. So will he want to go? And then at that point, you can kind of go, well, you're not playing, fine, and then you can replace him.
You know what though? The thing is, for Leeds now, they get less money.
Yeah. Can be.
They get less money than.
But it's up to his performances, It's up to his performances. He never had an impact. Apart from Ipswich, he didn't have an impact because he's been injured. But when he came on recently,
he didn't have an impact.
Yeah, it's up to his impact and his level of performance. Also, he should be eating the grass. It's an expression used here. When he's playing by the desire he has to play, because there's 2 big games for the national team coming up. You want to be there. You want to change the mentality of the whole Italian public opinion, because they don't rate him. When we lose the games, everybody has Gnonto as the scapegoat. Everybody. And now Vincenzo Grifo at Freiburg is playing brilliantly. And it's going to be called up ahead of him if he keeps playing like that. In the Bundesliga, he's playing. Gnonto is playing in the Championship. So it's also another obstacle. You need to do more and more and more. You don't want to have. I'm saying that because, of course, he has more international reputation. Gnonto. You don't want to be the substitute of Jan James, with all the due respect, of course. But going into the season, we had Gnonto here and Dan James here, or here. Now the roles have reversed. Dan James is playing here because of his performances, and Gnonto is doing like this. Yeah.
Right, okay, we will discuss that as we get closer to January, no doubt. Just to finish up, folks, let's quickly get
Ipswich to lose to Birmingham at the weekend. I'm calling that.
I disagree.
They play at Palmer Road or at St Andrews?
Just gonna call it.
Palmer Road, I think.
I'm just gonna call it. I think they lose this one.
1-1.
Rooney will get his win.
1-1. I say 1-1.
I hope you're right. Let's get some score predictions in then for Leeds United and your first goal scorer. I'm gonna go Leeds 3-1. And the Leeds United goal scorer is going to be Chris Somerville. Andrea?
We win 2-1. Somerville, me too.
Nice. And Joe?
2-2. I think Somerville and Bamford.
Okay. Great.
I think Bamford will get the 6,000th goal. It's just, I think it has to happen. I think it is. Yeah.
Yeah, we shall see. Listen, folks, make sure you check out Jer's channel, Leeds United The View. Make sure you check out Andrea on Twitter as well. Please do check out Cool Media as well for all your help with marketing and lead. What's the word I'm looking for? Lead generation. That's what I'm looking for. And please make sure you check out Fantasy 5 as well. I know a few of you have already signed up. Helen sent me hers on Twitter. Links in the description. Just check it out, folks, and we'll discuss more detail who my team is and whatnot tomorrow. But yeah, thanks as always for watching. Been on for an hour and 20 minutes. I'm knackered. I need to go to bed. So yeah, thanks for Jer and Andre giving up the time as well. And enjoy the rest of your evening. And we'll see you tomorrow for game day. Peace now.